Science recovers the past. Group members: Jo Min-ho, Go Bora, So Jong-gi, Baek Soo-ji. Contents: Part 1, Introduction. Part 2, Cases of using conservation science. 1. Mukso Jipyeon. 2. Baekje Gumdong Gwanmo. 3. Gyeongcheonsa Shipchung Soktap. Part 3, Conclusion. Part 1, Introduction. Culture reflects our lives. As a part of culture, cultural heritage gives us knowledge of our history and a sense of belonging to it. That is why we try to restore cultural heritage when it is damaged. Conservation science is one way of preserving cultural heritage. It is the study of the care and protection of cultural works through scientific methods. Our group has a lot of interest in the combination of heritage and science. So we studied conservation science and looked at examples of Korean cultural heritage. Part 2, Cases of using conservation science. 1. Mukso Jipyeon. This object may look like trash or burnt paper. However, it is the first image of the documents found inside Bugoksa Sangchung Saktap, Sokgatap, in 1966. After a long conservation process, these documents finally revealed their identity. The documents, known as Mukso Jipyeon, include important information about Sokgatap. People believe that the pagoda had never previously been restored or repaired. However, according to Mukso Jipyeon, Sokgatap was restored during the Goryeo dynasty. As the example of Mukso Jipyeon shows, conservation science plays an important role in revealing historical truth. It not only restores cultural heritage to its original form, but also reveals its hidden stories. 2. Baekje Gumdong Gwanmo. These beautiful caps are replicas of Baekje Gumdong Gwanmo. The kings of Baekje often gave them to local leaders as rewards for their loyalty. The caps are famous for their delicate and beautiful patterns. Without conservation science, we would have never known about these beautiful patterns. Look at the first picture below. Can you recognize the cap here? Let's see how the cap was restored by conservation scientists. First, conservation scientists used X-ray photography to determine the original form. Then the cap was broken down into parts. During this process, conservation scientists removed foreign matter and rust from the surface and controlled corrosion with a chemical treatment. All the parts were then glued together and any damaged parts were repaired. At last, the cap regained its original form and shine. 3. Gyeongcheonsa Shipchung Soktap. Gyeongcheonsa Shipchung Soktap is well known for its elaborate decorations, splendid shape, and unique structure. The pagoda was originally built in 1348 during the Goryeo dynasty, but it was disassembled and illegally transported to Japan by a Japanese court official. After it was returned to Korea in 1918, it was left disassembled for 40 years at Gyeongbokgung Palace. Conservation skills at that time were not good enough to restore it. Although the pagoda was first restored in 1960, it suffered from wind, rain, and so on as time went by. So the pagoda was repaired again and moved inside the National Museum of Korea in 2005. It took almost 10 years, from 1995 to 2005, to restore the pagoda. Conservation scientists removed the cement used in the first restoration process. They replaced it with marble, which is the same material as the original stone. They also restored some of the original decorations. They carried out another important process, which was rebuilding the first 3 stories of the body. During the conservation process, scientists found that the first 3 stories had been put together incorrectly, so they put them back in the right order. Part 3, Conclusion. While working on the project, we found something important. Conservation science helps people understand Korea's proud past. In addition, we realized that our culture will not survive without our effort to preserve it. So our group decided to do our best to save our cultural heritage for future generations.